Welcome to the screencast of APA Formatting for In-Text Citations from the St. Ambrose University Department of Psychology. This presentation uses the current information about APA style as described in the Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association 7th edition, updated in 2019. The basic principles of in-text citations are covered in sections 8.1 through 8.36 of the APA Publication Manual 7th edition. The APA style uses the author-date citation system in which a brief in-text citation directs readers to a full reference list entry. The in-text citation appears within the body of the paper and briefly identifies the cited work by its author and date of publication. Each work cited must appear in the reference list, and each work in the reference list must be cited in the text. Ensure that the spelling of author names and the publication dates in the reference list entries match those in the corresponding in-text citations. Cite primary sources when possible, and cite secondary sources sparingly. Cite sources to document all facts and figures that you mention that are not common knowledge. Provide appropriate credit to the source whenever you do the following when writing papers. Paraphrase. State in your own words the ideas of others. Directly quote the words of others. Refer to data or data sets. Reprint or adapt a table or figure, even images from the internet that are found for free. Reprint a long text passage or commercially copyrighted test item. Avoid both under-citation and over-citation. Under-citation can lead to plagiarism. Over-citation can be distracting and is unnecessary. For example, it is considered over-citation to repeat the same citation in every sentence when the source and topic have not changed. Instead, when paraphrasing a key point in more than one sentence within a paragraph, cite the source in the first sentence in which it is relevant and do not repeat the citation in subsequent sentences as long as the source remains clear and unchanged. Plagiarism is the act of presenting the words, ideas, or images of another as your own. It denies authors or creators of content the credit they are due. Whether deliberate or unintentional, plagiarism violates ethical standards in scholarship. To avoid plagiarism, provide appropriate credit to your sources by adding author-date in-text citations for direct quotations and ideas. Publishers and educators may use publication plagiarism checking software to identify cases in which entire papers have been copied, passages of specified lengths match, or a few words have been changed but content is largely the same. The latter is known as patch writing. All of these are considered plagiarism. Be sure to locate and be familiar with the academic dishonesty statements of St. Ambrose University, of which plagiarism is specifically mentioned. Go to the website for St. Ambrose University and click on A to Z. Then click on S for Student Handbook. Then click on Student Handbook. A PDF file will appear. And scroll to page 18. Please note that the potential consequences of academic dishonesty are potentially severe. These are listed on page 19. paraphrase restates another ideas, your own previously published idea, in your own words. Paraphrasing allows you to summarize and synthesize information from one or more sources, focus on significant information, and compare and contrast relevant details. Published authors paraphrase their sources most of the time, rather than directly quoting the source. Student authors should emulate this practice by paraphrasing more than directly quoting. Be sure you look carefully at the instructions your instructor gives you, including their grading rubric, to determine if direct quotes are even allowed in your paper, and if so, how many. Most faculty members expect students to use paraphrases most of the time to gain experience and practice with this writing style. A paraphrase may continue for several sentences. In such cases, cite the work being paraphrased on first mention. Once the work has been cited, it is not necessary to repeat the citation as long as the context of the writing makes it clear that the same work continues to be paraphrased. If the paraphrase continues into a new paragraph, reintroduce the citation. If the paraphrase incorporates multiple sources or switches among sources, repeat the citation so the source is clear. Read your sentences carefully to ensure you have cited sources appropriately. Now we will discuss how to write in-text citations. Suppose that this is the reference list entry for the source that you are using. The parenthetical citation would be as follows, parentheses, Alexander, comma, 2018, parentheses. A narrative citation would be Alexander, then a space, then parentheses, 2018, and parentheses. Let's look at each of these. A parenthetical citation is when the citation is included at the end of the paraphrase sentence. For example, in this sentence, the paraphrase is, non-social play can also include solitary play due to a desire to not want to interact with others. This information was paraphrased from the following source, Chu and Heron, in 2012. So this citation is included at the end of the sentence. In parenthetical citations, use an ampersand. This is the Shift key and number 7 on your keyboard, between names for a work with two authors or before the last author when all names must be included to avoid ambiguity. This is the ampersand in this example. A narrative citation is slightly different. In a narrative citation, the authors are indicated within the sentence itself. So for example, this sentence contains the same information as the previous example, but it is written as a narrative citation. In this example, Chu and Heron, the authors of the source, are inside the sentence itself. Directly after the authors is where the year of publication of that source is indicated. In this case, it's 2012. This sentence would be read, Chu and Heron, 2012, state that non-social play can also include solitary play due to a desire to not want to interact with others. In narrative citations, always spell out the word and. Do not use the ampersand symbol in a narrative citation. The format of the author element of the in-text citation changes depending on the number of authors and is abbreviated in some cases. For a work with one or two authors, include the author name or names in every citation. For a work with 3 or more authors, include the name of only the first author plus et al. In every citation, even in the first citation. This is a change from the previous edition of the APA publication manual. This is an example. Suppose your source has the following authors that wrote their article in 2017. Because there are 3 or more authors in the source, the in-text citation should look like this. For a parenthetical example, parentheses, Neal et al., 2017, parentheses. For a narrative citation, Neal et al., parentheses, 2017. The year in the in-text citation should match the year in the reference list entry. Use only the year in the in-text citation, even if the reference list entry contains a more specific date, like the year, the month, and the day. For works that have no date, use ND in the in-text citation. For works that have been accepted for publication but have not yet been published, use in press instead of the date. The following table shows the basic in-text citation styles for both parenthetical and narrative formats. The first line indicates 1 author, 2 authors, 3 or more authors, a group author with an abbreviation. Please note that the abbreviation for a group author should be defined only once in the text, choosing either the parenthetical or the narrative format. Thereafter, use the abbreviation for all mentions of the group in the text. And finally, an example of a group author without abbreviation. Occasionally, a writer will need to use a direct quote in their paper. A direct quotation reproduces works verbatim from another work or from your own previously published work. It is best to paraphrase sources rather than directly quoting them because paraphrasing allows you to fit the material to the context of your paper and writing style. In other words, use direct quotations rather than paraphrasing in the following situations: when reproducing an exact definition, when an author has said something memorable or succinct, or when you want to respond to exact wording. For example, something someone else has said. Instructors, programs editors, and publishers may establish limits on the use of direct quotations. Consult your instructor or editor if you are concerned that you have too much quoted material in your paper. Short quotations and long quotations are formatted differently. For quotations of fewer than 40 words, add quotation marks around the words and incorporate the quote into your own text. There is no additional formatting needed. Do not insert an ellipsis at the beginning or end of a quotation unless the original source includes an ellipsis. This is an example. Effective teams can be difficult to describe because, and then this is the direct quote, high performance along one domain does not translate to high performance along another. The citation is indicated at the end of the quotation. Note, it is the author's name, et al., 2018, the year of publication, and the page number that the quote can be found on. This is distinct from a paraphrase in-text citation. Direct quotes must include the page number that the quote can be found on in the original source. Long quotations are formatted slightly differently. Format quotations of 40 words or more as block quotations. Do not use quotation marks to enclose a block quotation. Instead, start a block quotation on a new line and indent the whole block 0.5 inches from the left margin. Double space the entire block quotation. Do not add extra space or before or after the block quotation. Either A, cite the source in parentheses after the quotation's final punctuation, or B, cite the author and year in the narrative before the quotation and place only the page number in parentheses after the quotation's final punctuation. Do not add a period after the closing parentheses in either case. This is an example of a long quotation parenthetically. Note that the writer has put their own words at the beginning. Researchers have studied how people talk to themselves. Then, the direct quote is in block format here. The citation is at the end. This is an example of a narrative in-text long quotation. Note that the author chose to use the author's name at the beginning in the paraphrase, Flores et al., then put the year, 2018, then continued the paraphrase, described how they addressed potential researcher bias when working with an intersectional community of transgender people of color, then put the direct quote, and then at the end, put the page number where the direct quote can be found in the original source. For more information about in-text citations, please refer to the 7th edition of the Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association. For more information, visit the APA guidelines online at the address on your screen.